Good evening and welcome. Welcome to Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. I'm your host, um, Bob Pace, and I have a guest tonight on my live stream is Audrey and Marcus, and they'll be talking shortly about their CPS case. And I really appreciate them uh, to take the time out to talk to us. Now, I always go over my ground rules. We're here about a government agency called CPS, which I call the Child Protection Systems. Every state, every county has a system. They're all with different names. It's easy for me just to say CPS, what I'm talking about. This government entity was created in 1962 by Congress, and there were directives sent to social service to create a group of social workers in a department that can protect our children from neglect and abuse. I'm not saying all CPS is bad. I'm not saying all of it's good, but there are rogue individuals. I myself was abused by CPS. I had a horrible case. My family was destroyed. My livelihood was destroyed. And I've been fighting them for 15 years. And we work. This live stream is brought to you by Vincent W. Davis. He's my attorney, and I've known him for a long time. And he is excellent in fighting CPS. He is a trained professional, educated in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law, which is the area they were in. And so I can talk more about him later. I do have a number on my screen. That number on my screen is my office, 888-888-6582. And if you need information about books to purchase or when I'm going to be live or when Vincent Davis is going to be live, you can call in there. Make sure you tell them that Bob Pace sent you. And so I'll have that up there too. I also have a couple things that if you are going to be texting in on my live stream, all I ask you is that retain your questions to CPS. Please state your first name, your city or county, state, and country. And also, please tell me about your CPS case from the beginning to where you're at. And when I say country, I now have 22 countries. I just picked up the Republic of Congo. I have Indonesia, and I have Bangladesh and India. And then the Middle East, I have Saudi Arabia and Libya. And then over to Africa, I have Liberia and Sudan, Rwanda, Republic of Congo, Mozambique, and 2 provinces in South Africa. Then up to Europe, I have England, Scotland, Wales, and Denmark and Sweden. And across the pond, I have North America. I have 4 provinces in Canada. All 50 states have contacted me on here, including the District of Columbia. Then south of the border, Mexico. Then down to South America, north of Brazil, on the East Coast, Grenada. Then across the South Pacific from New Zealand to the land down under, Australia. 2 states have contacted me down there. That's over 1,000 people. And these 1,000 people have something all in common. They're blindsided because they don't know the good CPS from the bad CPS. I didn't know either. And so I was buffaloed. And it seems like it always hurts because one of the things we need to do is we need to get an attorney. And that's the stickler of the point because it costs so much money for an attorney. And I had to sell my home at quick sale to get my attorney. But that is the key. But what I like to do now, before I forget, there's one other thing is we could also be a guest on my live stream, like Audrey and her partner can be there. Be a guest on my live stream. You're going to pick my one of my 14 shows a week. I'm on Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then on the weekend, it's 8 a.m. Then at night, it's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 days a week. And there are times over the weeks, the months, whatever, that I'll have other engagements that have to take me away. Like I just finished working 3 days at the Long Beach Grand Prix, which is near where I live. I live in Surf City, USA, 2 blocks from the beach. and so I was gone there. But every night or every day or during when I faced coming on here, it's always my question is, how can I help you all? I really care. I'm a family man. I'm a father. I've raised 6 children. 3 of them were stolen and put in traffic into foster care. And my 3 older ones were lucky because they have families of their own. They're living on their own, very productive life. But it is very, 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 very hard to deal with CPS. And so, with that being said, I'm going to leave my phone number up there in case anybody wants to call in and talk to us about your concerns. My number is 626-698-0990. And that one you can reach me on there. So I'm going to be able to see we got some people already come in. We have Child, who's from Los Angeles. Welcome, Child. He has hired Mr. Davis, and he's on his course of trying to get his children back. We have Deidre Payne, and it's so nice to see you. She's also does live stream. She's from Los Angeles, California, and she says just wanted to come on and listen and show my support. Thank you, Deidre Payne. It's so a blessing to have support here. And again, Child, thank you for all your prayers. But I think we need to hear now from our Audrey and Marcus. So go ahead and take it, you guys.
So my name is Marcus. This is Audrey. We have a co-companion case. So started off February 2022, I guess you could say. Yeah. Where our exes colluded with each other and decided to throw stones and kept calling DCFS. They did it multiple times over and over again, even though they found inconclusive or unfounded. So that's kind of the brief all the way moving forward to August 10th. Or no, I lied. What's the date? No, I know, but what was so August 16th, DCFS was involved in our lives because of some more allegations. The same allegations we've been fighting for the past 3 years, for the most part, or for the past 3 years or 2 years at that time. For basically, they slandered us. Like they said, she was homeless, even though we lived in a house that I've lived in for 8 years. That I was abusive. I was abusive to her. I'm a gang member in multiple gangs. I thought that's a conflict of interest. That I'm abusive to the children. We both have substance abuse issues. What was the other one? And then I pulled a rifle. I pulled over on the side of the road, grabbed a rifle from the trunk of my car, and shot a coyote. And then I'm a felon in possession of firearms. And she's neglectful. So on the 10th, I had to drop her off at the airport for her to catch a flight to Texas because her ex decided to get a restraining order granted on me and her and the kids, but the kids resided with us. So she went to go fight it, and I dropped off at the airport on the 10th for her to appear on court on the 12th of August. On the 10th, I was actually in the market for a new automobile, so I went shopping in La Brea. Oh, should I start doing something in California, Palmdale? No. I apologize. We are in Palmdale, California, LA County. My apologies.
That's all right.
So went to La Brea to look at a vehicle. On the way down there, I was sideswiped. I got in an auto accident. I had a sheriff's report.
That's terrible. Wow.
Had medical reports. It was me and four boys. Audrey was on her way to Texas on a plane because fighting the same allegations we've been fighting with DCFS in Texas. On the 12th, the judge basically said California has jurisdiction because that's where the kids reside. That's where the evidence would be and the proof would lie. So she flew back home. I went and picked her up. In between the 12th and the 14th, DCFS had an anonymous phone call again, same accusations, And the 16th, they were in our lives investigating for the 5th time since 2022. And that was the first time they ever started. So, being that we had already jumped through the hoops under the same allegations for quite some time, we've kind of educated ourselves on our rights and where we stand, and our parental rights. And basically, we want to be present if the kids were to be talking to an outside agency other than the school, like police officers or DCFS or anybody that's not part of the school. And that got us, I guess, in some trouble because we stood up for our parental rights. And the school said that it was odd because we went and disclosed that we were involved in an auto accident and that there's 4 boys in our house. And I also coach youth wrestling. So it's a combat sport. So I disclosed that to the teachers and the principals and vice principals and the staff, because my kids do get black eyes. They do get cuts on their lips, busted lips. They do get, they split their eyebrows. It's part of the sport. We wrestle up in Bakersfield where competition's at, and it gets gnarly for even at a younger age bracket. So they told this is what the caseworker said. It's in her report, so who knows if it's altered by any means? Because let's put it this way: they like to make a lot of things up. The DCFS caseworker the original investigator came to our house to do a home interview. The appointment time was 6:30 p.m. and this was on the 19th. And she didn't show up till about 7:13ish, even though our appointment was set at 6:30. By that time, the kids were done playing outside because we are outside people. We ride bikes, scooters, dirt bikes, soccer, baseball. I mean, basically every extreme sport that we can play and extracurricular sport. We pulled the kids in the house to have dinner and finish schoolwork. I was working on a vehicle in my driveway because I do mechanic work on the side. I also work in the film industry full time. Been doing that for over 12 years, but I was wrenching on a car, and she walked up and said, she asked for Audrey, and I said, no problem, I'll go get her. I walked in my garage, and Audrey came out the front door, and the caseworker immediately said, without introduction, you're not going to let me in the house. And and Audrey was like, we kind of like stood back, now it's like, hold on, there's boundaries. And the caseworker then basically, Audrey was like, well, we kind of want to talk to you out here before we introduce you to the kids. And mind you, we have this all on surveillance. We have a home security system. And the caseworker was like, well, I'm going to see inside that house. And at this point, I'm like, hold on, we don't even know who you are. You haven't, she's like, well, you got my card, didn't you? I said, I have a photo of a picture of a card on a text message, but that doesn't tell me who you are. Isn't there a proper form of introduction? And she continued on, well, now we're going to sign you up for a drug test. And I'm like, hold on, I still don't know who you are. Can you get a supervisor out here? She goes, you're not going to get one. And I'm like, well, I think you're coming off really agitated. I think you need to, I'm requesting a supervisor. She's like, you're not going to get one. And I was like, I mean, at this point, I'm holding up my guard because I'm supposed to be protecting my kids. And I'm not going to let this lady that looks like she's about to have a tornado through my house and basically thinks she even says that you don't know what I'm going to find in your house. And I'm like, what does that mean? And she tried to pull Audrey aside to her car, which was down the block, and Audrey's like, no, I'd like to stay on my property. And the caseworker, well, you have a surveillance system. I don't consent to be being recorded. It's a two-consent state. I'm like, we're in California. It's not a two-consent state. For one, you're a public servant in your public capacity. You're allowed to be recorded. And then, two, once you pass the threshold of my property, you automatically consented anyways. You know, the cameras are, it's not like I was holding my phone in her face or anything. They're mounted on my house. So she goes, I'm not going to do the interview because I don't feel like being recorded, and walks away and puts a packet of paper on our trunk and just walks away. And that's the last we heard from her. And so we went on our normal day-to-day routine. We even went on vacation over the weekends, went to Palm Springs. And we come back, and on the 26th, they took the kids from school. And but when she left the packet of paper on the trunk of the car, we called the supervisor for a week straight. A week straight, we called the supervisor, left voicemails, multiple voicemails, her and I. Never got a return phone call. And then the next day they took the kids, the supervisor calls. And I was like, we've been trying to get a hold of you. Like, what the heck? Well, I only have one missed call. I'm like, bullshit. 7 days straight. And, basically, we were supposed to appear in court 3 days later. They said that the kids were going to go to a shelter, and we're like, why can't they go with grandparents? We even said, hey, you know what? Like, why don't we remove ourselves from our home? Because we have a fifth wheel we can stay in. We can go duke it out, outside the home while a grandparent or a relative stays in the house so the kids could have the comforts of their own home. Nope. So, little did we know that, so she has two sons and I have two sons myself. We're a mixed family, but her ex-husband basically threw a lot of stones and said, if you come get them in an affidavit, if you take them from her, I'll come get them. And then basically my ex-wife colluded with, my ex-wife originally called her ex-husband saying that she moved in with me. So they've been colluding with each other for 2 years now. And so she got my kids. My ex-wife got my kids, and I had primary custody. Or, I had the majority of the custody. And she had sole legal, sole physical at that time. Well, we for 72 hours, the caseworker wouldn't tell us what's going on. We said, he kept going at us. The first 8 hours of the day, they told us to show up at the sheriff's station. So we did. And then we talked to the watch commander, and the watch commander was like, oh, hang out, go get something to eat. It's going to be a minute. We're like, be a minute for why? He told us the kids were on their way. Well, they got something to eat, and they have to go to get medically checked out. I'm like, medically checked out? What the hell? And mind you, we have a special needs kid that has a very big ability on a severe spectrum, and he's on a strict he's strictly monitored, or he's on a strict monitor schedule and medication management. So we called around to all the hospitals where they could potentially be. There's only a handful of hospitals in the Antelope Valley. And we figured out where they were. So we showed up to the facility with medications. And we were escorted off the premises by the police officers, sheriffs, and said, go back to the station. Well, we're like, what about the medications? They still escorted us off. They didn't care. They said that we put a tracking device on the caseworker's car. I'm like, how can I put a tracking device on the caseworker car when I was clear? I think it's clear across town, and I had no idea who took the kids. So then they're like, oh, well, he knows things that he shouldn't, and he must be working with somebody. And now I'm this private eye detective, modern day Liam Nelson in real life or something. They made up They made up these outlandish allegations that I was putting a tracking device and followed a caseworker home. So that escalated quickly. And then, So basically that caseworker passed the buck onto another one, and nobody wanted to take my case because they thought they were going to be tracked. I was going to track every caseworker home. So then when it came to like our supervised visits from the DCFS office, nobody would want to monitor mine because they thought I was going to, they said our persistency and not trying to know where our kids were and what's going on with our kids, because we basically were left clueless and never got any documents except for when we went to the children's court ourselves and went up to the DCFS office to request them. Our case lasted 3 months, and they closed the case and gave sole legal, sole physical to the other parties.
Wow.
And that's not even the worst of it. Oh man. So on the 9th, our child with special needs, we got a phone call from a neighbor that's lives next to the biological father that has the kids, and he's only had them in his care for less than 4 to 6 months, I think it is, and he's on life support right now, fighting for his life for extreme dehydration, respiratory shock, circulatory shock. Dad didn't check in on him till 8 p.m. Had an empty bottle of melatonin next to his bed. Found unresponsive. It's 5 minutes of CPR, 104 fever, and mind you, this child has had open brain surgery. And anything above 100, anything getting close to 99 degrees, you take him to the emergency room because of his underlying health issues. And
it's okay. It's okay.
The courts awarded restraining orders on the caseworker, my ex-wife, and her ex-husband. And we've been trying to get a hold of the hospital, and nobody will give us any information. And then there's also a 6-year-old that nobody's had eyes on or talked to, and we've asked for wellness checks and welfare checks, and
nobody will go in person to go see the children. They just take the word of their biological father. So
the only thing that we had going for us was a nurse allowed us access for 10 minutes on the patient portal app, which we've always had, and then closed it and kicked it. We haven't been able to get access since the 10th.
Boy, that sounds like a long story. Now, I have a couple questions. At the very, very beginning, did you two know each other, or how did this? I mean, I understand it's 4 children. 2 are hers and 2 are yours.
Yes.
So you're the biological father of 2, and you're the biological mother of the other 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how did you two meet, or was there abuse before you guys met, or how did you guys come together?
There's history, we've been friends for a long time, and we both went through miserable divorces. And honestly, she was in Colorado, and I've always been a part of her kids' lives. And
so you guys were divorced before you knew each other, or?
Yeah, no, we've known each other before we were divorced.
Okay.
And then,
but you were just friends.
Friends, yes.
Right.
And then when she went through a miserable divorce, and then she went to Colorado, and then I went through a miserable divorce, and I was in California, and I ended up taking a job out in Colorado, and because I hadn't seen the kids, or I hadn't seen I always check in on the kids. We always called about the kids. We never even crossed each other's paths, twinkle in each other's eye, so to speak. And I was like, hey, how far are you from Boulder City? Because I took a show out there, and I was out there for 5 months. So she was only 45 minutes away, and she'd come visit with the kids, and they'd come play in the hotel pool, and the next thing you know, we connected.
What was the degree of the divorce? Like, who had what custody of the children? Did you have custody of the two boys? Was it two boys or two girls? Marcus.
Boys.
I have two boys.
She had two girls. And when you had your deserved divorce, what was the custody arrangement?
I had primary. Like I was their basically the sole provider. Their primary residence was my house. But because I believe that both parents should be involved in the children's life, I was doing 7 days on, 7 days off. With if there's a 3-day weekend, you get an extra 24 hours, and we drop off at school and pick up at school, and we keep that summer. But because I believe that they need their mom in their life.
Right.
So her priorities were messed up, and she didn't see her kids for 8 months after she left. I still fought for her to see her kids.
Now, before, see here, you had the divorce. Okay. Did you have any trouble with CPS before your divorce? Do you ever have trouble with CPS before? Is that also true for you, Audrey?
Same
thing. So neither of you have been involved in CPS, and relationships sometimes don't work out. I can't tell you how many bad relationships they are, and that's the sad thing, is because when you create children, they're caught up with the divorce, and the children, and especially have a special needs. And you have to understand, CPS focuses on special needs children because why? They get extra money. It's extra money. See, the problem is that there are good CPS and bad CPS. Now, your involvement with CPS didn't come to after your divorce, and you started a relationship, and so you had your two daughters with your two sons.
No, two boys. There's 4 boys total.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
With the biological mother, she's the one you divorced. You had 2 boys.
I have 2 boys. Yes.
Now with Audrey, you've had 2 more boys.
She has 2 boys. So there's 4 boys. There was 4 boys in our household.
Oh, I thought you had girls. Never mind.
No.
That's okay. So you're starting a relationship, and did your ex-spouses want to get the children full time? Was there alternative motives that these ex-spouses were trying to take away your rights to your children?
Yes. So for me,
and they were calling it to CPS. I call it only CPS because it's easier. I know the Department of Children and Family Services, DCFS, which LA County calls their CPS system, but
it's a circus. Actually, they should call it a circus.
Yeah, well, I know LA County quite well, so
unfortunately,
it's one of the rogue CPS systems in the country, one of the worst ones. Not only there.
What the judge even said, I won't say any names, but it was at the children's court off in Palmdale, told us that this is a Gabriel Hernandez case, and she's saving lives.
Yeah.
And newsworthy case, and then that was when, because it's a co-companion case, she would go separate, then we couldn't go together. So she would go in, get grilled by the judge, and then I would go in and get grilled by the judge.
Right. They keep everything all separate there, and plus the children are not allowed in court, and the children don't even know what's happening to the parents, the biological parents, and so it is a really messed up situation there. Now, my thought came to you when you started to first get involved in CPS. This is something you don't know about CPS. It's a weird animal. It's they lie, they retaliate, they rob, they steal. I mean, I could go on and on what they're doing. You're like Alice in Wonderland. You fell in the rabbit hole, and you're told you met the Chester cat, and you're sent room to room, and you go nowhere. That's what CPS likes to do, is keep you in limbo, keep building your hopes up, keep making promises. There's so many mistakes that CPS made in this case. Also, when they use the police are supposed to protect the CPS workers. They're not supposed to enforce CPS laws or rules. but they somehow think they can. It's a power trip a lot of police like to use. I'm not saying there's good police and bad police, but when you encounter bad CPS and bad police, it's a mixture for disaster. And that's when they took advantage of you. Now, one thing in the very beginning, do you ever think about hiring an attorney?
We did. We had a consultation.
Well, before you hired the attorney, like you did not know about your civil rights or constitutional rights where you're not allowed to open the door. You don't have to open the door to anybody. That door is ironclad. It's your drawbridge in your castle.
And
The only one that can come in that door are people you give permission to. And so when you open the door, it's like Pandora's box. They're going to discover something because they don't have enough evidence on you. The whole purpose of opening the door is to search your home. And they want to take your children away.
we never let them in our home. They still took our
Right.
children.
So that was the number. I made the same mistake. You don't allow anybody in your home. You do a
Yeah.
procedure like a special knock, a special ring for your family members or everyone to come in, but don't answer the door. Eventually, they will contact you either through a mail or through a phone call or something. At that time, that's instantaneously when you want to hire an attorney. And I'm only saying this because there's a lot of people listening, you know, and I'm doing this to help out other people besides yourself. And I know that a lot of people can't afford an attorney. That's the number one common thing that most people have when they're involved in CPS. They may be down and out. They may have had a disaster, like their home burned to the ground, or they flooded out, or the home went down the river. And right away, CPS attacks those kinds of people. They say, you can't raise the children being homeless. Yes, you can. But the problem being is if you don't get an attorney, then your life is going to be really horrible. And I learned the hard way. I spent a year without an attorney. And I had to sell my house because I had lost my job through no fault of my own. And I was being harassed by CPS once a week for 5 years. They couldn't find anything wrong. And I had these in-laws, which are the lay people that reports, and they were trying to do alternative motives. They didn't like their daughter. They didn't like me marrying her daughter. And so they would sit there and make up stories which weren't true. And so, you know, and I did not know about getting an attorney, how important it was, or about how to not let them in your home or even talk to them. And if you meet them outside, let's say you're outside the home and you meet them, the first thing you can do is be nice to them, but say you cannot talk until your attorney's present. With that being said, it gives you an excuse to get away from them. If your children are with you, you take your children, get in your car, and drive off the sunset. Now, if they try to get physical, you document everything because they will get physical. They will try to do stupid stuff, and they can be sued. A lot of money. There's a lawsuit being happening right now in LA County for $4 million. That's not much money, but it's still a lot of money. And it's LA County Child Department of Children and Family Services has to pay that. They'll be tangled up in the courts. So that doesn't help the problem that you're faced with because now we got to go fast forward. We have fast forward right now. Where are you at on your case right now?
Our case is closed. They closed our case, gave sole legal, sole physical to the other parties.
But you don't have your children.
Yeah, they closed it in 3 months. They basically, and then they put a restraining order on us. And like I said, one of our children is only been in the care of her ex has
right, the special needs.
And
well,
he's on life support right now.
Have your TPR, your termination of parental rights, have you been terminated? Well, they can't close the case.
They closed it.
Well,
we went to the DCFS office.
What kind of attorney are you having? What's the background?
Unfortunately, we because we had just spent all our money with an attorney for the Texas thing. It kind of took our nut away, and we didn't have enough money to freaking afford a DC. So we went to public bullshitters and language. And
Yeah, we need to keep our language because I have.
I apologize. I apologize. My apologies.
That's okay. I know how angry it is and things like that. But
we didn't go. We asked for trial. I mean, we did our research. I mean, we had every document combating every single allegation and every. I mean, 100% facts. We had sheriffs to testify for us, doctors to testify for us. We had school board members, school teachers to testify for us. The judge would not said, "I've already made up my mind. We're not allowing anybody to testify." And then they gave, and for mine, I don't know, but I can't speak for Audrey's because I wasn't there, but I was there in the building. I just wasn't in the room. The county council got 18 minutes to speak. The children's council got basically backdoored with the county council, even though the children's council said, even though I agree with the county council, the children on my side say they want to go home with their dad. And she's all, I'm supposed to notate that. And they had to. And then they gave my attorney, the public defender, 3 minutes to speak and cut him off in the middle of his closing argument. They gave him, the judge goes, I don't know, I can't say name. Basically to the attorney, can you hurry this up? It's getting closing time. I'm like,
you got yourself a bad judge. The problem is,
excuse me. I was like, this is, and then they closed the case.
Right.
They just closed it.
Judges are bad. Not only, you see, the problem is dependency court involves a referee who's a judge. He's supposed to be a fair referee, like it's a sports game, like a football game. Referee is supposed to enforce the laws, enforce the rules. But this particular judge is corrupt. And judges are corrupt. You can make changes to judges. You can make changes to your court-appointed attorneys. You can tell them that either they perform or you sue them for lack of defending your case properly. They can be also called to the state bar in Sacramento and tell them that we have a crooked attorney, and they can be disbarred. That doesn't help you with your case, but you can go to
So we tried to do that. We requested time and time again. We even requested the 388 petitions. We requested for basically all the caseworkers notes. I forget what it's called. I'd have to look at my previous notes. And basically, and how they came to the conclusion. And the problem is the permi fasa. They're allowed to use hearsay as evidence. And even if you have 100% factual documents from whether it be sheriffs, doctors, schools, and it's actually documents, or even from Klett's record, Department of Justice, and you provide those documents, because I had a minute order that from another courthouse that said I had an expungement, and also that I'm a youth wrestling coach, so you can't be a felon and a wrestling coach, a youth wrestling coach. It doesn't mix. So right. I even had a live scan from the Klett's database from the Department of Justice stating all this, but the caseworker did basically exculpatory evidence, in my opinion, and only put what I was convicted and charged with from way over 10 years ago, and did it multiple times to make it look like I had a rap sheet, and didn't even put that I was a college wrestling coach or a youth wrestling coach, or that I actually serve my community and give back. I give the little time that I can throughout the week, and they basically didn't care about that. They looked at like, oh, well, one time you were convicted of a felony wobbler, so you must be a felon. No, not if you do if you take the right course of actions and you get your rights restored, you're not a felony.
Yeah. And,
and it's and then the character defamation, they made us look like we're these evil people, and then I don't know how you can be in multiple gangs. It's kind of a conflict of interest. Because that's what the accusations, And I am a Teamster and an IBEW union worker, and yet they basically wouldn't. They kept saying, because someone said that I was in multiple gangs. I'm like, I work my ass off to get where I'm at. We
Right.
work hard so my kids can play even harder.
Right. Well, so now that the case is closed, supposedly, if you still have your rights, the case is not closed.
Okay.
When a case is closed, you no longer have your parental rights to your children. And that's a good thing. But you need to get an attorney, and you need to find at least 3 quotes from a reputable law firm. And one attorney, I'm going to give you his name. His name is Vincent W. Davis.
We've had a consultation with him.
Good.
At the beginning of all this, like at the very beginning.
And where did that go with Vincent Davis?
I think there was a confusion of what we wanted, because we were consulting him for retainment, and then I don't really know.
I don't know what happened with that.
It's all right. It's all right.
We were waiting for him to. He was supposed to look over the case and give us a call back, but I get, he's a busy man. And then when it came back to give us basically retainment, it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was an absurd amount of money that we did not have.
Right. Understood.
And then, we were told you should have retained us at the beginning, and we were like, well, we kind of tried, but
yeah. Well, it's all in the past.
No, I'm okay with that. I watch. You know how many videos I watched of that man? I watch him to this day. I watch the shorts all the time.
Okay.
I've gained so much knowledge off that gentleman, and it's worked in some things, but not everything.
Because you've had a disappointed experience with Vincent Davis.
No, it's just I think we had a lot going on, and I think everybody has a lot going on. Can't really complain.
That's true. Well, Mr. Davis is a remarkable man because he overextends himself. And when he overextends himself, it's like the Dutch boy at the Holland Dam. You get all your fingers in these holes and the dam is ready to burst. And but he does mean well. He does have the knowledge in the fight. He's done numerous lawsuits. If your case was over, you could have a lawsuit on your case that could fight your civil rights because your civil rights have been violated.
And he did express that because of what we've expressed to him, where like 4th Amendment, 14th Amendment.
Right. No, he knows it. He knows it well. There's no question about that. Now, he helped me, but I had to sell my home. And that wasn't fun because when I lost my job at the age of 60 through no fault of my own, I was faced with trying to keep my home as long as I could and get a job. But at age 60 in 2010, it was hard for someone that they think you're a dinosaur at 2010. I'm 15 years older, and I'm not a dinosaur. And
can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead.
We went to the children's court today to request a revert. And they said, "Oh, your case is closed. You can't do that." I'm like, "How? How is this closed? Because what about
Well, ask them for the paperwork. Ask them for something in evidence in writing. I want a letter from you guys saying my case is closed, because then you really got them and you can hang them by the neck.
They don't have the. We only have the final judgment.
That's not the case is closed.
Oh no! No, really?
Yeah. What does the final judgment say? What does it say?
I'll go grab it.
Isn't that right here? Okay. 1 second.
Yeah, sure. The final judgment is really a key to success because it's entered into court by a judge.
Yeah.
But the Child Protection Services or the system or the CPS, I'm just going to say CPS, has to give it to you in writing that your case is closed. The reason why they don't give it in writing is that they don't have your rights terminated.
Okay, so it says custody order, juvenile final judgment. Juvenile court, as stated on attachment to a four. Where would it? The juvenile court has terminated. The juvenile court has terminated jurisdiction over the children listed in 3. Instructions for law enforcement, conflicting orders prioritized for enforcement. That's the restraining orders. And
It's a hard document to deal with. I know it is.
They also sent the kids to Texas without doing the interstate compact deal.
Yeah, the ICPC. They
Yeah.
have to do the interstate placement of children. You know, they're supposed to check out who they're going with, where they're going with, and where they're staying. It's supposed to keep track so the children are not in danger.
They did a damn great job of it, because one of them we have no idea what's going on with him, and the other one's in the hospital
Wow.
fighting for his life.
I know that's hard.
And then because of whatever BS that her ex is saying, we are not able to get any information, any news updates on his medical, and she hasn't. They never said anything about. There's nothing where she doesn't have.
I'd ask the the CPS, and you said Lancaster or Palmdale?
Well, it's in the children's court's in Lancaster, but Palmdale DCFS is the one that took.
Right. You need to ask a letter of writing. Is my case closed?
Okay.
Are my parental rights terminated?
So when we were there earlier today, they told me that my parental rights were still, I guess, intact. I still had my parental rights, is what they told me today.
Well, what you need to do, and this involves a lot of time on the internet, since you guys don't have the funding, the internet is a good source of information. It's how you look up your information that you're trying to find. And I tell people, that's my rule number 4, that you put the city first, followed by the state. And if you're from another country, you put your country in, and then you put the letters CPS. After that, you write in specifically what you're looking for in CPS, and you'll find your answers. So you put your city, and if the city is, you said Palmdale may be too small, you may have to put Palmdale, Los Angeles. And then you put in California, then CPS. And then you put what you're looking for, how to fight them if my parental rights are still in place. And then this is going to tell you the step by step. Now, I know you don't want to do it pro se, and I'm not telling you to do it pro se. I'm only saying that because, it all depends on your finances. And, it's terrible that parents like me had to give up my home. I worked for 45 years. But I wanted to hire the best. So I did hire the best, and I got my 2 boys back. Unfortunately, Vincent Davis was so good that he caught my social worker committing perjury in court. She lied, and she lied underneath oath. And he caught her because what was happening is that my wife's mother and father, her 3 sisters and brothers were calling every week for 5 years from Ohio to California, stating that we weren't feeding our children, we weren't bathing our children, we weren't taking them to school, we weren't taking activity. They would tell you a different story every week for 5 years. And I did not know these were my in-laws doing this. This is something I found out later. So anyway, one of them, my wife's sister and husband, wanted to adopt our 12-year-old daughter. And she was under the court to tell her what kind of parents my wife's sister and husband were. And so Vincent Davis first asked what kind of parents, and the social worker says they're great parents. Well, then he asked, was there any domestic violence between these two? And she said, no domestic violence. And then he, pondered a little bit and said, well, I have some reports that I'm going to read to you. And he read all these police reports about domestic violence between my wife's sister and husband. And they were not only domestic violence, they're abusive domestic violence. That means they were physical. They were arguing and yelling, which is wrong for children to hear, but they were physically hurting each other. So with that being said, the social worker was embarrassed. And she told my wife, you're never going to see your daughter again. And we found out later what she did is that she told our 12-year-old daughter, you're going to emancipate from mom and dad. It means you're going to divorce mom and dad and your family. You're going to change your name completely, and she did. You're going to seal your birth certificate, and she did. She got a second Social Security card, and she was forced into being adopted by a foster care family that, was all in it for the money, because being a foster parent, you do get money helpful, and the money frees so flowing. It's $1 trillion business. Billions are sent from the federal government to the state, and from the state, millions are sent to the counties. And each child, every month that they're in captivity, they were getting paid $20,000 per child. That's $60,000. There's no way a month that's how much a child costs to feed, clothe, or provide shelter and education, and so forth.
How much?
So $20,000 per child. That's firsthand information. And so what you mean, I had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, and they were getting $60,000. And they were abused in foster care. I know this firsthand. I speak from the internet, and this is the Orange County Child Protection Services. That agency is rogue, from the director all the way down. I fought with the director. I had meetings with the director, who lived in a Taj Mahal of a place that looked like the Emerald Palace or Castle in the Wizard of Oz. It was so gaudy. You see where the money's being spent. Now, right now, through Doge, we're getting Doge to investigate social services and the waste of money. So maybe things will change. Maybe they'll start investigating. But until you do so, you have to get the best out there. So when I sold my home and did a quick sell, I lost half of my value of my home. I got back just after I paid off the first mortgage and the second. I got back basically emptied what I paid for the house. I ended up with nothing. My initial investment of $500,000 was gone. My initial the increase of $1 million is gone. I lost $1,500,000 right there to CPS. Granted, I had a job that supported me. I lived, a mile from the beach. I live in a very rich county, and I was doing it, but I had no money. And I had, at first, tried to do it myself, a little bit pro se with a court-appointed attorney, tried to kick him. I got nowhere until I hired Vincent Davis. And yes, it is a lot of money. Whether you pay a $5,000 retainer for LA County, an attorney at $500 an hour, it is a lot of money. It is a lot of money. And so, I know where you're at, and you two are faced with a predicament now. You don't have those 4 boys, and maybe it's best that, that you could still somehow turn this around, but you're going to have to get an attorney and spend a lot of time on the internet. I didn't know about these things. I'm telling you, I did not know about keeping the door closed to CPS and the police. They took my children from school. They weren't in danger. They're in school. And they're not supposed to be taken from school unless they're in danger.
Yeah.
And the schools are not supposed to give them out unless they have a warrant.
Yeah.
So what happened is that the school districts are dumb. They're not educated. The police are dumb. They're not educated. They're led around with a ring in their nose. And I'm not trying to downplay the police. We need the police. We need CPS because there's millions of kids. that are bad. But I like to share this story Grace, my producer, gave tonight that I wanted to share with you guys, maybe to set the mood a little bit. But this is a story that just came out recently, and it starts off police state. Loudoun County Child Protection Services took a 1-month-old breastfeeding baby from her mother and her Navy veteran father at gunpoint. Now, a U.S. Navy veteran and his wife were subject to the full weight of the government's iron fist as Child Protection Services. Backed by an armed deputy, stormed their home and seized their 1-month-old breastfeeding infant. According to the father, there was no warrant, no due process, no criminal charge. This happened not in Communist China, not in North Korea. It happened in suburbia, Virginia, in America, in the year 2025. Farzan Yandani, a Navy veteran father and respected engineer, has become the latest victim of a weaponized family court system, a system increasingly aligned with radical bureaucrats and progressive ideologies who seem hell-bent on dismantling the American family under the guise of state welfare. I'm begging everybody who's reading this that there is a crime in progress currently. Loudoun County government has abducted and falsely imprisoned a 1-month-old breastfeeding baby from its innocent mother. Now it says, please spread the story far and wide. Interact with it like you do. Do whatever the algorithms need to do to spread the story for the love of God. Now, this was written by Yanzi on X, which is the former Twitter thing. Loudoun County Protective Services, flanked by armed deputies from the Sheriff Department, stormed the Yandani home in what the father described as a coordinated ambush based on false affidavit from a bitter ex-wife, embroiled in a custody battle. The infant, completely healthy, cared for, and bonded to her mother, was removed with zero regard for constitutional rights, familiar bonds, or even basic human decency. Yancey wrote in a post, this government is terrorism, and every man in America needs to understand, if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. I may be the target of investigation. There are no charges or litigation pending against me. If they bring some, fine, I'll face it, I'll fight it. But what justifies taking my children away from the innocent mother? What justifies ripping a 1-month-old baby, breastfeeding baby, from the woman who carried her and nurtured her and has never been accused of anything? There is no justification, no logic. There's only cruelty. This is what happens when the system convinces itself you're a bad guy. It doesn't need proof. It doesn't need due process. It just needs perception. One bitter ex, one dishonored affidavit, and suddenly the state throws its full weight at you, not just to punish you, but to destroy your family. Even when the lies are exposed, even when you have recordings, evidence, proof of evidence, they don't stop. The stain of accusation is enough. And now, under scrutiny, treated like a need to be controlled, while the people I love most are used and leveraged in a twisted game. They are not protecting anyone. They're destroying a peaceful family. They are endangering children. They remove a fragile newborn from the safest place she could be, her mother's arms, and hand it over to a system where children do die in state care. This isn't justice. This is government-sponsored child abuse. This is psychological warfare. This is terror. I've been honorable. I've been respected. I've shown love and restraint even towards those who betray me. But I will not be silent while this happens. Everyone needs to hear this. Everyone needs to wake up. Please share this. Help me make noise. Help me expose what they're doing, not just to me, but to thousands of families across the country. Yanni says the trauma began long before this latest attack. On October 24, Loudoun County deputies arrived with his ex-wife and her new husband to forcibly remove his 5-year-old son, investigating the warrant or questions. Yanni claimed and complained, was placed in handcuffs by the deputy who would later be caught withholding body cam footage and showing up at custody hearings alongside the ex-wife. On October 14th, 2024 at 3 p.m., I was exercising my court-approved visit with my son when my ex-wife showed up unannounced and uninvited in my brother's home, the former residence of my late father. She brought with her deputy Sofa of the Loudoun County Sheriff Office. I had calmly asked for extension to my weekend visit. Amanda refused and instead escalated the situation by bringing law enforcement to a peaceful home. What happened next was pure abuse of power. Without cause, warrant, or investigation, deputy immediately placed me in handcuffs, ignored the fact that I was cooperative, and clearly trying to de-escalate. You will hear in this video the most painful part of all, my 5-year-old son screaming and begging to stay with me, his father. As I'm arrested in front of him, that is a sound I'll never forget and never will he. The moment shattered more than just pride. It devastated my relationship with my brother, a law-abiding citizen who now believes I brought shame and scrutiny to his home, and we've not spoken since. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, an engineer, a business owner, a father, and a homeowner in Loudoun County. I have no criminal history. I served my country and community honorably, and I still was treated like a criminal with my son forced to watch. The deputy later falsely claimed he was witnessing an assault, alleging that I retreated into the house and the door struck Amanda. But the body cam footage which he withheld proved that it never happened. In fact, it actually witnessed an assault. Why was I detained while he was investigated? During the arrest, I told him the cuffs were too tight. Instead of loosening them, he tightened them further. I was placed into a hot patrol car without airflow, left to suffer. Even after the magistrate released me on my own recognizance, I was held for 6.5 hours under the excuse of a shift change, that not procedures, not punishment. The charge, nolo prosecuted, was dismissed because there's no evidence, no crime, and a lying officer who withheld the truth. The deputy is now a witness for his former wife in her custody case, using his badge and the credibility of his office to further a personal agenda. This is weaponizing of the law enforcement, plain and simple. This video isn't just about me, it's about the system destroying families under colors of time. Now, I'm not going to show the video because my time, is coming to close here. I've talked, I've had this show going on for an hour. And I want to thank Deidre. I correct yourself. You're from Orange County, not from Los Angeles, who does live streaming. And she said some comments in here in the room that she said, what did she say? She said, sorry to say, but they always give the children to the abusers, right? That's true. And no kids with disabilities are CPS golden children. Yes, when they have disability, they get additional. They get $10,000 more, $20,000 more a month for special needs kids. The more money they get from the federal government, the money frees flow out there. And so thank you, Deidre, for your comments and coming in to be listening on my live stream. I'm glad to have you here. Also, throughout this, I've had the gentleman child, and he has a family, and he has a CPS case. He is from Los Angeles. I want to thank you for all your prayers, and he has hired Vincent Davis to help him. And then the Happy Feet. I cannot forget you, Happy Feet. It's Michael Shellen in Arizona. And we made it to come by and say hello. I'm glad you did, Happy Feet. And I think she told me some good news the other day. A lot of people come back to me after I give them suggestions to do something and it works. I talk from experience. I'm not an attorney, but I've studied and fought CPS for 15 years. I've done a lot of research on the internet. So, I tell you this, Audrey and Marcus, hearing you talk and seeing you two, you're beautiful people. There's nothing wrong with having a wrestler background or you want your boys to be wrestlers. I wanted my boys to be surfers. I wanted my boys to be football players, and one of them did get to do that. And he did it all through the time, my first boy, but he did football after they were returned to me. And I can't thank Mr. Davis because my boy rose to being a great running back at a powerhouse high school, winning the national championships in 4 years of playing football. And he got to do something that I never got to do. He got to play in the Rose Bowl and the LA Coliseum.
Wow.
And my son performed in the Rose Bowl as a running back and seeing him at the Coliseum. I met Caleb Williams, who's the quarterback at USC right now, who's now at Chicago Bears as the quarterback. Have been struggling this past year. Him and Bryce Young. Bryce Young is another quarterback I've known that my son used to take handoffs from. And he's now the quarterback of the North Carolina Panthers. So anyway, I know what it is about sport. I know about your passion, and it should not be held against you. And I'm really sorry for that. And now that you supposedly your case is over, but it's not. And I want to also offer you a free 15-minute consultation with Mr. Davis. You said you spoke to before, but because you're a guest on my show, you get to speak to him again. And maybe when you speak to him, you can impress upon the fact that, first of all, make sure you tell him you spoke to Bob Pace. Now, I've been doing this show for 18 months. That's a long time.
I've watched you a few times, yep.
And you've watched me. All right. So you know my rules and stuff there. I'm glad you finally came to be a guest on my show. But I really believe that you have a case that Mr. Davis can help you. I'm sorry about the money part. I do CPS not for the money. I do CPS because I want to help people like yourselves. I want to give you hope. There's a lady this morning that's been talking to me on and off. She's from South Africa, Kita, and she speaks Afrikanese, which she speaks pretty good English. And she has a horrible story. And she never had a father. She says, "You're my uncle, your Uncle Bob. And you've been more to me a father than any man has been in my life because I do care. I care like you're my family. And I want you to get your 4 boys back. And I'm trying to give you hope, but don't eat for the ones you love because love does conquer evil in the end. Love does conquer evil in the end."
Yeah, I'm just confused on how the I'm trying looking through the documents because for the final orders. I'm curious to know more on how the case isn't closed, and is it because we still have the orders for doing like classes and all that stuff?
No, the way it does is that when a case is closed, you receive a letter from CPS says your case is closed.
Even though we appeal when we're trying to go through appeal in court?
Well, if you're going through appeal, if you receive that letter and you're going through appeal, then you're still in the game. Now, a 388 motion, which you know about, is a motion that presents new evidence. And what you can do is present them new evidence that can help. I'm sorry to tell you this.
But we've requested 388 motions on every single
388 motion has to be done properly. It has to serve all parties, but it forces the judge within 30 days to have a hearing because you want to present new evidence.
The judge wouldn't allow any evidence to be presented. We filed exhibits after exhibits. We even tried to file the exhibits for our classes that we took.
Well, then you need to go to the Supreme Court and get that judge replaced. I'm sorry but you need to contact the civil rights coordinator in Sacramento.
Okay, so we are in touch with the state representative at this moment.
All right.
For rights and resources.
Right. There's another resource I want to give you is called the Doge, DOGE. There are 2 numbers that go to the White House. From there, you'll get another number. They all work. I've called Congress before. and spoken, and try to get a hold of a senator or representative that can help me with CPS matters. The government does speak. They do speak. And you can call in to a Doge. You go to doge.gov, and it tells you the numbers. Doge, DODGE. It's the one that is opposed to our government being so corrupt and bad. Our problem is our government is corrupt and bad. Maybe the tactics that President Trump is using, people are not used to. You know, he's very harsh. He's very firm. And I'm still holding judgment on this latest thing. He won't return somebody that was supposedly illegally departed or something in there, because there's still unknowns I don't know about. And, you know, I'm not going to make judgment on that. But so far, what he's doing, yes, he's scared the world with tariffs. Now, no one has do that. I mean, everybody in the world, you know, knows who Donald Trump is and knows what he can do. And a lot of people are scared. But I think we're in a good track of being better CPS, better social services, a better country, a better things. And hopefully the price of eggs will come down from $10 to maybe $3 as they were. I mean, I think it's ridiculous when I watch my gas go, you know, several months before election, and it was $3.75. And then it came up right the time he got elected to almost $3.99. Then after he's elected, it's gone to $4.25. Then it dropped, and then it came back up, and now it's $4.29 a gallon. And so I use the gas as an indicator of our economy. I use the price of food because we all buy them. We all buy bananas. Bananas have risen from 49 cents to 69 cents. Even tomatoes went up a quarter. It's ridiculous the things that I see go up. Milk at $7 a gallon is ridiculous.
I did taxes pre-COVID, and I spend about $1,400 a year on milk alone. That was just pre-COVID. I'm too scared to do the budget for what I spend on it now.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is we all have to accommodate our budget. And one of the worst things we have is legal matters. And I'm so sorry that we have legal matters. But when you have a corrupt society, it's very corrupt here. I'm proud to be American. I'm proud to live in the USA because I've traveled to 50 countries. I've been to a lot of those countries 25 times. I've lived outside the United States, and I've lived in a lot of states. My father was an admiral in the Navy, and he took me around the world with my mom, and I learned about things there. But one of the things that we seem to be having trouble with is called life skills. And life skills are things about how to open up a checking account, how to file your taxes, how to stop child abuse, how to talk about CPS, marriage, bullying. There's so many different things, being picked up by strangers, talking to strangers. And one of the things is your home is your castle, and you can defend your castle by not answering the door. Don't make a sound. If there's no sound in it, they won't break in. If they hear argument going or things like that, they will break in.
But they'll take kids from the school if you don't answer the door.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we need to educate. We need to join in and we change things.
We even let the school, each kid, because there's 4 boys, there's 3 different schools that the kids went to. 2 of them went to this. No, it's 4. It's 4 different schools. Each kid in their folder, we have a document that we said that we didn't ask for them to sign. We just wanted it in their school records file stating if any outside agency is to talk to our kids, we want their legal representation or their parents present.
Okay.
And they still did what they did.
Yeah. Well, the thing what I don't understand, and maybe people need to enforce it, when you have your first week of school, your kids bring home cards to fill out. They're called emergency cards.
Mm-hmm.
The people that they can see or be picked up at. If that social worker's name's not on there or that policeman is not on there, they can't touch your kids, and you can sue them. You can sue them. You have an emergency card that says who can pick up your kids, who you can talk to your kids. I'm sorry, there is that law, and that if you have a good attorney, they can sue them. They can sue the school district. The districts are fat. They'll just pay their way out of it.
Of course,
and you won't get money back. I mean, it's great they give you money, but that's not going to
I don't
bring
want
back.
money.
I know that.
I'm sorry.
Most
I'm sorry.
people don't like
My apologies. My
and they-
apologies. My apologies.
That's all right.
Apologies.
But yeah, it's right.
Oh,
but
man.
it's like these things I'm telling you, I'm not trying to discourage you or get you more upset or get you working. You're beautiful people. I care about you, beautiful people out there, because your houses looks great. You look great. You're handsome and beautiful, and you found each other. It's probably the wrong way to find each other, but who knows the right way? I want to leave with this. It's a circle of life. I learned that from The Lion King, where the father talks to the young cub and how people come and go and die. Now, some people have big circles. Some people have little circles. I want to be the person that has a big circle because I want to live forever. And you're on a train track in life. One train track, your left rail is your circle of life. The right rail is getting to God. Now, if you don't believe in God, I'm not trying to teach you there. And hold on one second. I got a call come in on the show. Yes, Deidre. What's up? What's up?
Or not, but tell them if they're available, come on my show on Wednesday, and then they can get another 15 minutes with Mr. Davis.
My other live stream host says you can come on her Wednesday show at what time is it? 5:30?
5 p.m.
Oh, 5 p.m. Her name is Deidre Payne, and you can write an email to Grace.
Are you a CPS victim like me?
Right, it's a victim like hers, and you can come and talk on her show. And she says you get another 15 minutes, so that'd be a half an hour of questions you can ask them.
Tell them that I have two co-hosts, Darren and Tiffany knows a lot about the civil lawsuits that he could be suing right now or getting started with the thing he just mentioned.
Right.
Finding that hard with the kids. So.
Right. This is good news. This is going to help you. Her name is Deidre Payne, and she has a live stream.
P-A.
Okay, Payne.
Okay.
And Grace will put you on her show. All you do is the same thing you did for my show. You do the same thing with her show. You just email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Grace at vincentwdavis.com.
Or real quick, Bob, if you want to share my phone number with them right now, go ahead.
You're live, Deidre, you're live. I don't want you to get a lot of calls, so
I said you share my phone number with them, like in the private chat.
I don't have private chat with them. Remember, this public chat, everybody sees me, so I can't do that. But that's all right.
Well, my email is up there in the comments.
That is fine. If you want to put your email up on the chat, they'll see it, okay?
Yeah, I did already. All right, well, let them know. Thanks, Bob.
You bet. Thank you for calling in. And good luck with your show on Wednesday.
Night.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right.
Okay. That is another person that will help you on your circle of life, on that railroad track with timbers that join the circle of life and the timbers that getting into God. I'm not trying to be a religious person, but I do believe in God, and that's what keeps me going. So I want to thank you all for being on my show. I've went over a long time here, 18 minutes, but that's okay. I think it's important that you had a chance to hear, and that is sad about that Navy veteran in Virginia. But there are cases like yours happening everywhere, and we have to be united and share and help one another. And documentation is an important aspect of it. That's one thing that people forget. I forgot. And you need to document everything, and you can record it or write it down. But the one important document I call is the incident time log. Every time you have an incident, whether you're on the phone or whether you're in person, you write down the number, the location, the date and time, and the people you talk to on the first line. The second line, you do a summary of the incident. What was the incident all about? And then the third line is what is the results of the incident. And if you don't know it, you can fill it in later. But you're going to have 65, 100 incidents, either with the police or with the Child Protection Services, your exes, your children, whatever. You write down all those incidents. It organizes all your thoughts, and you suddenly have a journal. You have a journal there that will become very valuable. I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd written down a journal when this happened. That's something I forget what a journal is about. And if you're away from your kids, you may want to think about doing a journal with them. Each of you can write a journal, dear so-and-so. And you can write your thoughts and your feelings, because one day they will come. At 18, they're allowed to come on their own and contact you. Now, my daughter's 22. She still has not come, but I still hope I will see and talk to her someday. So I understand what it is to lose somebody you love.
It's our legacy. It's my name. It's
yes, I know it is.
And
right.
It's from your chest, like those feeling can comprehend. I don't think I've ever felt the lowest.
No, you feel violated. You feel discouraged because you thought you believed in a system that was supposedly honest. You think the government's honest, and it's sad.
I'll be honest with you. I never believed in the system. I've always said whatever the government says is good for you is probably not good for you. You should probably do the other. But I was awarded the state as a kid as well, so I already had.
Oh, so you have experience of being a foster child.
And they didn't do anything for me. They
have a record on you. You have to understand, after your whole case is done, you need to have this expunged, because foster care people awarded the state, they pass around. I have a mother in Kentucky, Richmond, Kentucky. She was a foster child until she grew up at 18, and they got her because they're after her son, who is a special needs son. She later had children. So they have a record. They have a record of 30 years on her. And so I'm telling you, it's sad, but you got to make sure that if you ever were awarded the state or involved with CPS, that you get that expunged. That not only you have to stop the termination of rights, but you have to get it expunged. A lot of people forget to do that. They say case is closed. Well, you need to expunge it. You need to clear my record. You need to get.
Are you talking about the one when I was a minor,
yes.
or that one too?
Well, when you were a minor, that is one, and now you got another one.
Okay, so all of them.
All of them. You need to have expunged, because it's like a criminal record. If you stay on there and you later want to be working for the FBI, they'll find some dirt on you. So anytime you're involved, like the statute of limitations on bankruptcy is 7 years. That will keep the bank. The bankruptcy will kill you for credit. They will kill you for credit. And if you apply for a job, let's say you wanted to help out the church with children, and you're at church, they'll have a time that you sit there and you have to take a life scan. You have to be a criminal background check. They'll find all kinds of mud against you. And if you don't get it expunged, it'll be there, just like your driving record. If you apply for a job that requires a good driving record, you got to make sure your driving record is clean. And if there's something on there that's not yours, you need to have it taken off.
So, being that, okay, all right.
It's a monumental task, and I'm telling you a lot of information.
I thought we did research, but we sat on the computer for days on.
I know you. I don't doubt it.
And
but
I feel like we didn't even scratch the surface, unfortunately. And I can't tell you how many videos I've watched of yours, Vincent Davis. Yep. I even believe I watched Miss Payne's.
Yeah.
There's another gentleman in Texas I watched, Michael Harris. I have watched so many freaking videos. I have went on rabbit holes after rabbit holes on Googling. I've even went through case laws to
Well, there's a lady called Nancy Schaefer in Georgia, a senator, that was murdered.
Yes.
They say that she did not. You know who I'm talking about.
Yes, exactly.
She died fighting for CPS. She wanted to change CPS in its entirety.
They ruled it as a suicide of some sort, and then her husband.
Right, she said her husband killed her. That was not the truth. And this, when you talk to the kids, they say something totally different. And I hate to say it, that people sometimes are buried. So, the best thing to do, and of course, my show is worldwide. I'm heard by 22 countries in all 50 states. So anything I'm saying, they can come and get me, I guess. but I'm speaking the truth. I'm speaking from firsthand experience. And I know how awful it is out there. I would love to go before Congress and testify about CPS and how bad CPS has been and how CPS has not been fair, and the stories that people have shared me from the mothers that have cried on my show. I mean, you know, when you have a mom in England, yeah, this mom was in tears in the garage talking to me, long distance, country code 44, and she was in tears. The lady in South Africa. It's worldwide. It isn't just in the USA.
It's the world's largest human trafficking, and it's all incentivized.
Yes. And it's legal. It's legal.
It's bull shenanigans.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I know. It's really bad there. But hang in there, Audrey and Marcus. If you want to be on again, or you need more time with Vincent Davis, please be my guest, and I can give you another 15 minutes.
Okay. And then also, like, there's also some good books to read. I don't know if you've read it's Child Protective Abduction Services, The Modern Mafia by Dr.
I've heard of it. I've not read that. I've heard of that.
A Culture of Fear, an insider look at Los Angeles County Department of Child Family Services.
I've seen that book. Yes, I've read that one.
Legally Kidnapped, the case against Child Protective Services, Carlos Morales.
I would love to see that book. I'm glad you showed that to me.
So, well, I mean, we have jumped down our rabbit holes, man, and it's just.
I'm not saying you haven't, but hopefully there's some things I told you tonight that will help you.
Hands down.
And when you get time, you want to come back again, give me an update. I like to know how you're doing about it. But try to keep that relationship strong. Don't give up. And keep fighting for your child. And I'm going to have to say goodnight, but thank both of you for sharing your life with me. And hopefully you'll leave with some hope on trying to get your children back. God bless you. And this is Bob Pace signing off.
Thank you.
Thank you.